Hello, hello. Is anybody out there? Think so. Cool, and I think we are officially live. So kind of the first thing that I am thinking about today is I want to first of all show off the effect that I worked on as a solution to when the fairies attack you. So initially it's like the fairies themselves, they're non-aggressive, but they have this kind of pinky psychic attack that they do that I'm quite a fan of visually. So what I've added is if we do this. First of all, I love the flying animation in action. Rather chuffed with that. We can possibly lift them a little bit more off the ground to make it a little bit more dramatic. That's all client side. Maybe let's do that right now because that's actually something we can immediately affect. So we do this and we grab the fairy prefab. We should. Ooh, maybe we can't. It's not as simple as I thought. Um, yeah, I don't think we can just offset the mesh renderer. I'd have to do a bunch of changes. Okay. Okay, so maybe I can show this off here. If I'm not mistaken, the movers should have a height that it moves to. So next pass target. Okay, here, so we've got floor height and then we've got hover height. What is hover height? Okay, so it's just set to 1 for everyone. Okay, fantastic. So that means, there we go. I can just tweak it here. So I thought I put the variable in there. So if I just go 1.5, it's a little bit dramatic, but let's see what happens. The idea with making a big dramatic change when you take, okay, so here we go. A little bit weird. Something strange is happening. Uh, their hover height is 1.5. They seem to be clamping down back to 1. I wonder if that has to do with the actual movement. So if we go back to our script, is hover height being taken into account everywhere? Maybe not. I'm gonna try it out. Okay, so we seem to be setting it in both cases. Original loop, short downward origin. I think here's where the problem is. The hover height's specific to the raycast implementation and not an additional uh, variable. So maybe what we do is we put an additional variable in. So we do something like public float flying height, is equal to 0. So it'll just default the same on everyone. And then here, where we do this transform position equals pos, start pos is lerp. Here we're affecting pos.y. Let's try it. It's not guaranteed to work because I don't think we're always affecting it, but maybe we are. Then we can jump back to Unity view. And if we do that, okay, so these are now set to, maybe, I wonder if I just grab the one that's near us. Okay, so the 1.5 hover height does weird stuff. I definitely need to change that. But if I set this to 2, no, that's not what I want. Okay, so basically we've got a system that raycasts down to keep the enemies on the ground. I think the simplest solution is going to be that I'm going to keep the collisions and just increase the kind of rendering of the sprite rather than messing with code to solve this problem. It's kind of inefficient to do this with code anyway. So I'm going to undo those code changes, kind of use it through flying height. To understand why I'm doing it this way is basically the server doesn't know whether there is any three-dimensional height because everything is running on a kind of two-dimensional grid. So everything is using a raycast to visually represent the kind of height differences, even though in truth there is kind of a loosely defined height map that's used for certain things in game, but there isn't a kind of strict mapping through positional data. All the positional data is two-dimensional, which makes it more efficient, but obviously gets us in this funny little situation. So that entire tangent aside, let me show you what I wanted to show you in the beginning, which is these new effects. So I'm just gonna widescreen this. So here are our okay, let me fix the fairies. The hopping is making me lose my mind. So we'll just set the hover height back to 1. I think that has to do with tile sizes. That's why they're doing like a half a tile hop. Okay, here we go. First of all, they should fly around without hopping. Fantastic. That's what we want. I mean, immediately. Now, oh, I just love the wings. I think they came out great. Now, if I aggro one, let's go over here and throw a, oh, this one's standing in a tricky position. Throw a copper knife. They're going to hit me with these kind of pink fairy attacks. And what's really, really cool is I have added this little response texture whenever you get hit. So it's this, I want it to look like a bunch of flowers like exploding. I'd probably say the direct inspiration for how I wanted this effect to look would be, I forget his name, but the guy whose Bankai is like the flowers from Bleach. I think he's Bakuya. I think that's the one. But yeah, that's kind of what I wanted. I'm rather pleased with that. I dig the effect on the actual fairy. And what's cool is if you aggro quite a lot of these guys, you can judge the timing if you're getting hit on different ticks just by the visual effect. There we go. So you can see that 2 of them are hitting me in a row, and then there's a bit of a time gap. And I can view the effect and kind of use that to gauge my timing, respond properly, lots of fun stuff like that. But yeah, rather pleased with the effect. Now I need to think about what I want to do next. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to place the slimes that I've been thinking about. So we've actually already got all of the enemy data for the slimes, and we've already done the animations. So all we need to do is kind of place them on the world map and do the data entry on adding them to the primary system. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to our enemy generator, and we are going to grab the data about the slimes, and we're going to do a kind of bit of data entry. So here we're first going to put their sprites into our sprite list. So it's going to be earth, where's that one? Earth slime, fire slime, regular slime, water slime, and wind slime. You'll notice in the texture section under enemy animations we already have these 5 main slimes. So might actually not have wind. I have water, slime, lightning. Ooh, I'm actually missing wind. Okay, fantastic. So that's an easy fix. Basically, the idea is we're going to quickly cash in on all these already animated enemies, enter them into the game, and place them. So that's going to have a nice effect and be a lot of stuff that we can look at and play with and mess about with, and then maybe we animate something that has kind of psychic effects to it. Take it from there. So first thing I need to do is I need to grab the wind slime. Just climbing through my folders over here. And then I also need to think, so I've got lightning slime, slime, water slime, fire slime, earth slime, and then in the monster generator I actually also need to add the lightning slime, which we were also missing. Here we go. Okay, so there are kind of 6 slimes. There's 5 elementals and 1 main generic, that makes sense. So in our enemy animations, I think we'll just use the regular slime as our base. So open this with Sprite, go to the Sprite view, and then I think what we're also going to do is we're just going to open the wind slime from our monsters folder. Ah yes, I remember the wind slime has happy eyes. Remember, the eyes are the most important when it comes to the slimes. It's how you can tell whether they are going to attack you. Fun fact, they are all going to attack you. They're the most aggressive monster in the game. Because they have to be. Sweet. First things first, let's get the palette in. Very easy. And then let's get the eyes in. Ooh, I'm gonna have a problem. I'm gonna need 1 more row there. Awesome. So the eyes do move slightly depending on where we are in the animation, so it, probably just the easiest to block them this way. I also find it easier to work on animations in a global sprite sheet like this rather than frame by frame. I just find it's easier to navigate because I'm not really thinking about what frame I'm on or that kind of stuff, and there's a continuity once the main animation's been established. So normally what I'll do is I'll kind of do the main animating frame by frame, and then I will do this part as the final conversion. And this is a dead slime. Let's see. Fantastic. That looks like an animated wind slime. Cool. So now that we have the wind slime animation in play, I can go back to my Unity scene, go back to our monster generator. We should have all our slimes loaded in. Suppose we can get rid of the fairy and the cultist. And we're just going to generate these slimes, and then we just need to open up the old project so that we can get the kind of old metadata and enter it into our new system. This should generate the slimes, and then we can assign hex codes and place them on a map, and then we will have 6 new enemies added to the game. Very exciting. I'll also need to build some textures and assign some materials, but that's really rather quick work. This is the old game we'll be using for placements, but for now, placements and data. So we're going to load this up, and then here we're going to get the information. So here are all of our kind of main slimes, and we start here with this slime. And over here I have the data about the enemy, so I can just drag this out, and then when I need it, I'm just going to enter the data in, and I'm probably just going to pull it down to off screen, but where I can read it. So, such as, well, I mean, a little bit's on screen. Or wait, maybe do I do this? Let's make this a user-friendly experience. There we go. Here's the data I'm pulling. Cool. So, first things first, this is going to be a regular slime. Examine text, classic slime, hold on to your wallet. Slimes have 4 health, 1 strength, 1 psychic, 1 ranging, 1 accuracy, 10 defense. We'll give these an aggro range of 5. They are aggressive, attack range of 1 because they're melee, attack speed of 4. Experience 14, level 7. And pretty easy to kill, all things considered. 4 health. As you can see, I've altered the level slightly. Basically, in Damascus, we had this trend where some of the early game monsters would give a little bit of bonus XP and still only be level 4 by combat. Maybe we keep that, I don't know. Okay, I'll keep it for now. I'll keep the level at 4, and then I'll consult Win. We can make a judgment call on that. But, that's kind of where I'm thinking. And then respawn rate, we can go 25, and we'll go with the classic 15, 25, 15, 45, 25. yeah, that is a classic slime. So we just hit create, done. Very simple, very easy. Now we can move on to the fire slime. Why not? Fire slime is quite a bit stronger. That's good to see. So fire slime is over here. Fire slime is already level 16 and giving us 32 XP. So here you can see the XP gained is normally twice the combat level. And the combat level is calculated out. So this character has got 25 health, much higher, 999 across the combat stats, with 22 accuracy, so these guys never miss, 9 defense, and I think those are all the important stats. And the aggro range, all of that stays the same. Fantastic. The jelly is bubbling from the heat. Good old jelly bubble from a fire slime. Or at least that's kind of the visual that I have in my head, is like these fire slimes have adapted to the kind of heat of Burning Burden, and that adaptation has made it so that the kind of jelly form of the slime is almost simmering, and these little air bubbles are kind of escaping the whole time, and there's steam coming off of them. So that's kind of the visual I have, and I thought the examine text mirroring that would be pretty cool. Awesome, I think that is the fire slime. So click create. Ooh, I accidentally replaced my regular slime 2 times. So I'm just gonna undo that. Silly me. Classic slime. And the reason I say hold on to your wallet for the classic slime is because the idea is slimes are sticky and they try to eat everything like amoebas. And if you have anything in your pockets, it's gone. So I think you can understand a few people are getting pickpocketed by low-level slimes, mostly on accident, but fun for the lore. So this guy was 4, 1, 1, 1, 1, 10, 4, 14. Okay, so that is your classic slime. Now we are making a fire slime. Always remember to rename. My whole system works on naming. It's hilarious when I say that and then I don't change the name and then it overwrites everything by name and I go, oh well, you know. What can you do? Build your own constraints sometimes. Such is life. So let's see. This guy has 25 health, 999, 22, 9, 16, 32. The jelly is gently simmering. Cool. There we go. Fire slime. Fantastic. Let's put the water slime in. So get his stats up. Water slime is around the same strength as the fire slime, interestingly enough. 15, 30. This one has slightly less accuracy. And 9s across the board. 25 on the health. Okay, so this is basically just a slightly less accurate fire slime. The slime exclaims that it is not a bad slime. The reason I have to put that for the examine text is we didn't actually put examine text in the previous game, but for some reason the slime has an examine text that says I'm not a bad slime, and that is actually a reference to that time I got reincarnated as a slime, because this is a blue slime that looks like Rimuru. So put that in your pipe. Let's say so I think that is the stats. Just need to hit create now. Cool. So now we're going to do a wind slime. Okay, wind slime is interesting. They seem to hit a bit harder. So 25 health as well. Highest XP so far. 28 accuracy, so even more accurate. And 12 strength, so harder hitting. More accurate, harder hitting. 9 defense, 25 health. Slightly more XP. Awesome. Wind slime. What is the examine text on the slime? The slime's elemental attunement makes it hard to hit. So the idea here is that the slimes are dodging the whole time, and the wind slime is a little bit quicker. I think that is everything. Cool, hit create. So lightning slime. Grab that. Oh, lightning slime seems quite strong. See, this is why I always go for the lightning slimes, because they are worthy opponents. 9 strength, 999, 30 accuracy, so highest accuracy so far. 35 health, and take a hit, level 20 and 40 XP. Makes me feel like there's an error with the regular slime, but it also just could be because of its early game nature. I wonder. Okay, so jumping back in here. So this one, 20/20/40 lightning slime. You can hear a soft static discharge around the slime. So imagine that there's a small amount of electricity constantly discharging off of a lightning slime. Another way I like to think about the lightning slimes is it's actually just a slime that got hit by lightning, and the slime doesn't die. It just kind of absorbs the lightning in the same way that the slime is absorbing and consuming everything, and then that gives it the elemental attunement. Or maybe like a lightning bolt hits a big slime, and it breaks off into a lot of smaller lightning slimes, and then the lightning slimes grow into their own big lightning slimes over time. Maybe that's the law. Double check the stats, 35, 20, 30 on the accuracy, 40 XP, soft discharge lightning slime, 21, fantastic, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think the last one is earth, right? Awesome. Did we really get slime right? Yeah, slime is weird. Cool. Earth slime. We're gonna hit this with 25 health, 25 accuracy, 9s across the board, 1734. rather simple. Earth slime. This slime is slower than the others. I think that's everything. Fantastic. So there we go. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All of the regular slime types. And if I'm not mistaken, we should now have prefabs that have generated. There you go. Here are our new prefabs. You'll notice there are all 6. Now what we want to quickly do is we want to quickly assign materials to these prefabs. This is just because they don't come already assigned, if that makes sense. The reason is that the sprite sheet animator that I created requires a unique material for each sprite sheet. It's not a big deal. Probably should automate that because the system I've built just isn't doing it, and probably can. But we kind of came to that conclusion after building the system. So I guess something to fix, right? Always something to fix. Cool. Anyway, so duplicate the material, rename it. We're going to call this Earth Slime. Slime. Fire Slime. Lightning Slime. Water Slime. Wind Slime. And united, I have the Infinity Slime. Cool. I'm going to grab the correct animation. So you'll see I haven't, so let's quickly do that. So in enemy animations, I have to just set the import setting on the wind slime, because as you will recall, we made that early on stream. There we go. The most important one is that it allows for non-power of 2 and keeps the kind of bitwise compression, because otherwise we lose detail and the textures are no longer crisp, and that's kind of where it becomes a problem for me. Cool, enemy materials, we've named it all, so now we should just literally be able to grab the correct things from everyone. This is the actual Earth Slime, Fire Slime, Fire, Wind, Water, Slime, and my favorite. Awesome, so now we have our bases. We've got these kind of materials. We're going to slap these onto the actual enemy objects. We'll just start with the main one, so very easily. Okay, I think the easiest is going to go here. Oops, it's this one. There we go. First one done. Two, three, four, five, and last one. Brilliant. So now we have everything set up, and if I check the enemies, I've got all my prefabs, and you can kind of see just on this like little demo, maybe I'll make it a bit bigger, you can kind of see the sprite sheet there, which means that it's all going to pull through correctly. Fantastic. So what do we need to do next? We need to actually place the enemies on our enemy placement texture, technically, and we need to assign hex codes to the various enemies in order for the placement to occur. So in the meantime, I'm going to bring up my data sheet where I can assign hex codes, and yeah, we're going to take it from there. Another thing that I need is, and I'll just open this in the meantime, so go here, we're going to look at our old game. Yay, old game. And we're going to find out where all these slimes were placed. So starting with regular slimes. There we go. This explains why they were level 4. I was wondering. They're over here to be farmed by low-level players. I think this is fantastic. I think it's a good place for the slimes. It makes sense having them near the river. I'm probably actually going to push them in a little bit, because we have kind of a large frog army that sits up there. But that's very useful. Sweet. The water slimes, as suspected, are probably going to be, yep, chilling in the swamp. So we'll remember those two. The wind slimes are... Ooh. Ah, okay. Interesting. So there's a bunch of them up here. I'm going to put some on Mount Reef as well because I enjoy the wind slimes over there. So I think kind of water, wind, regular, we understand. I'm assuming all the lightning slimes are in the slime field. Nope. Okay, cool. So this is a new spot for lightning slimes. I'm going to keep this, the integrity of this. So this is going to be this kind of spot that sits underneath the house over there. So wind, water, lightning, regular. We need to look at earth and fire. Okay, that makes sense. Earth slime's behind Dominia. And the fire ones are in what, Cactoria? Yeah. Okay, great. So that's also very simple. So now that we know kind of where we're placing everything generally, can minimize that. Get this correct shape again. We can grab our enemy placement map. So you'll notice we have this. Open this up. And this is how we're going to place our enemies. So we're placing slimes up here. And here are my old cactusins. I probably want to remove these 3 cactusin spawns. Simply because it's not actually the game balance that I want. And those cactusins were put in with the intention of just testing out ranged combat. And I have enough enemies in that area. So I think I'm going to remove them. So we'll just do that right now. So this is how easy it is to remove a spawn. Just grab the white dropper and pencil them out. And then I want a green that I can tell that it's different from this green, and that I also know that it is slimes. So that's kind of the first thing we're going to do. I'm going to go with this green. I can tell there's a difference there. It's not super obvious, but it's good enough for being able to tell that it's a lesser slime versus a greater slime. Like, I'm going to see green, I'm going to go slime, and then that's going to kind of contextualize it. So I'm going to copy this hex code, add it to my sheet, slime, paste the hex code in. So this is really going to show the power of the placement system and why I favor this way of handling things. Because, again, we just did data entry for 5 enemies, 5 enemy types. Now we're going to place them into an MMO game world very quickly, all 5. Literally just by choosing these hex codes and then dropping them into the game world wherever we want. And again, we know where we're placing. This is the whole world map. I can zoom in and see any area. And as we said, it's this nice rivered area here. It makes sense to me that there's a bunch of slimes congregating around here. Also explains where the lesser slimes that kind of slip into the city come from. And you can imagine that the slimes are propagating around the water. Brilliant, that's it. That is regular slimes placed. Now we can jump straight into... let's do wind slimes because I was thinking about them. So I'm going to go for a grey. As you can see, we have a grey here. We're going to do a little comparable thing again. I'm going to go for a slightly lighter one for the bigger boys. And we're going to just grab this, copy this out, grab that hex code, drop it in the sheet, wind slime, put the color into the sheet. Brilliant. Back to Ace Price. So what did we say? We want to put a few of them up here on the mountain with their kind of smaller counterparts to add a little bit more tension to the trip up the mountain. And then we're going to put the rest over here. They're in their natural habitat amongst these Damascus ore rocks and the various peaks of Burning Burden. What's quite fun about the wind slimes and why they reside on mountains is the idea it's the mountainous terrain where there's high winds, and that's kind of feeding their elemental structure. Fantastic. Now we're going to jump into the water slimes. Just grab a blue. These are other water slimes. I think these blues work. I can definitely tell the difference. Copy the hex code out, pop it in the sheet. Water slime. Add a oops. There we go. So now we've got the blue, and basically, if you will recall, we're going to put them in this kind of swampy area, spread quite evenly apart. This is the place that people would go to hunt water slimes, and this would be a good, consistent money maker for gathering whatever drops they consistently drop and such and such. So this is your kind of big blue slime farm that sits in our swamp biome. Are you riding an imaginary horse, Hannah? Is she allowed to go outside? Cool, she's outside. She's outside. Okay, cool. No stress. Okay, cool. So we've placed the slime, wind slime, and water slime. Now we're going to place the fire slime. Going to have to choose a color for that. As you can see, we actually have a few lesser fire slimes here. Obviously, I want to do a red for the fire slime. I'm going to go for an orangey or red so that I can see the difference. I think that's fine. Copy out the hex code as usual. Paste it here. Fire slime. Put the color in. And yeah, basically, I think the fire slime sits along this desert border, just enjoying the sun. If you really want to hunt them, you're coming up here. Great. Now we're going to do the lightning slimes. So the previous ones, they all sit here. So I want a similar, a yellow. It doesn't really matter if we distinguish this yellow because these ones sit in a completely different zone. I will, however, just drop this on the sheet quickly. It's cool because what I find interesting about the slimes for me is that they're very much a staple of Eastern video game design, and I think the West kind of is much more goblins and dragons and that sort of stuff. And what I kind of like is I enjoy both styles of fantasy, and what I wanted for Jericho was to have a bit of goblins, a bit of slimes. What's kind of interesting as well is the actual concept of the slime originates to Gary Gygax himself, who came up with the gelatinous cube and ooze monsters in very classical D&D. So, fun little fact for anyone out there. Cool. Let's place our lightning slimes. So they chill in this kind of area. I believe this is also where lightning giants reside. So what I'll probably end up doing is putting a bunch of lightning bolts in that area as well. Give it that kind of tundra, lightning, stormy plains vibe. Okay, so the last one we have to do is earth slimes, and where were the earth slimes? Ah, yes, they're behind Dominia. They're just gonna be a brown, so just gonna, I think that's fine. And yep, cool. What's quite nice about using hex codes for your enemy placement is there is literally an infinite amount of colors because it just has to have a unique hex code. I mean, not literally infinite, but what, it's 255 times 255 times 255. 1 point. Okay. Yes, please. 16 million? So yeah, we can do 16 million different enemies before I have to change the way this is run. I think we're fine. Okay, cool. Putting these behind. So basically, the earth slimes sit in this area behind the main kind of Dominia castle, and then there's just a couple that have crept up there. Okay, awesome. So this has now placed earth slimes over here. We've put some wind slimes here with some wind slimes here. Down our water slimes over here, regular slimes over here, lightning slimes over here, and fire slimes in the desert. Save. That has changed our placement data. Can jump straight back to our Unity scene. Now we use our location generator. We can actually close the old build until we need it again. So now we go to enemy location generator. And what this system is going to do is that change we made to the world map. Now we need to import the color keys, and it's going to use our enemies JSONs folder, which we've set over there. Now if you look, here are the new JSONs with the slime, fire slime, water slime from the enemy generation we did. And remember those hex codes we were assigning? Now we're just going to pop them in here. So I'm just going to do a little bit of data entry. The reason, and again, sometimes this system may look complicated, but it ends up being very, like, surprisingly simple and robust. And I think it's really the robustness that that I was looking at, because when we did original Damascus, we ran into so many issues trying to mod the engine while the game was running, so to speak. Like, it's a lot easier to make changes to something that isn't live. And once it's live, you really want systems that are going to support you. And sometimes doing a little bit of extra jumping through a hoop here and there to create a system that is easy to edit live or in runtime makes a world of difference. So I think my order might be slightly wrong, because I think it's going to order these by the number. Let me just make sure. Cool, it's definitely going to order those by the number, so I need to make sure my number's on the correct order. So, because I think I did the placement slightly different to how I did the generation. So it's going to go slime, fire slime, water slime, wind slime. So slime. Let's do this. So slime, fire slime, water slime. So I go here. Slime. So this is fire slime, water slime. 20 is wind slime, 21 is lightning, 22 is earth. Fantastic. And then I want to just make sure that everything else matches, meaning my sheet. Fantastic. Okay, cool. So slime, fire, water. So slime, fire, water, wind, lightning, earth. Okay. So what have I done here? I have taken these hex codes that we've used to place the enemies, and I've put them in a specific order so that they mirror the data structure that we have when we generated the enemies, so that now all I have to do is I hit play, and this is going to generate all the files that I need for the server to have these enemies, as well as have their patrol routes and where they can walk and all of that. So you'll notice we have these files here, and it's finished generating, and if I just hit enemy locations, we now have the matching locational data. If you look, all of these filled out quite well because we have differing X and Y locations across them. Now I can just copy these files, put them onto my server, put some enemy prefabs into the scene, and everything we did will be live, and not live just for me, but live for everyone who joins the world server. So that's the big benefit. So let's do that. Cool. So first things first, I'm going to reveal these in this finder. I'm going to open my world server and open its folders. Cool. And now I'm going to drop all 6 slimes in. We're up to now 22 unique enemies on the server and all of the location data. Fantastic. So now I should just be able to restart that. Brilliant. 429 enemy instances with 23 unique enemies. That means that worked. Now we just go back here, and as you will recall, everything runs using IDs. So if we go to canvas, go to UI control, no, it's the enemy manager, go to our enemy manager. This only goes up to fairy right now, but all we have to do is grab these very convenient prefabs we generated, and now they're on. And now we log on and see that everything that we've done actually worked. Definitely the funnest part of game dev is the testing, because you're literally just playing a game. Oh, we should be able to see the wind slimes on this mountain, so we might as well just go there first. Where is there a bridge? I don't know. I'm just gonna go around. Probably. This is a cool view with the fog over Burning Burden. That's pretty cool. I want to figure out how to add like second stories to the game so people can go onto the rooms and do stuff in the room. Sorry, the roofs. I mean rooms as well, rooms and roofs, but the idea is to kind of empower the player. I trapped myself again. Ah! See what that is? That's a wind slime. So here are lesser fire slimes, cute little things. And there are some wind slimes. So we succeeded, it looks like it, in placing these creatures. So that's fantastic. There we go. You can see our little wind slime heaven over here in the wonderful lands of Burning Burden's surrounding mountains. I don't know, I keep wanting to show the minimap off, but not like being able to, because it's like, can I do something like, anyway. Yeah, wind slimes, and that one was so aggressive it actually found me. Brilliant. Sorry, is that wind slime punching in the wrong direction? No. Okay. Sweet, let's go see that our water slime's correctly placed. I'm pretty sure everything's fine. But when checking is so fun, why wouldn't you? Besides, We get harassed by enough slimes, we can freeze them. So this is the swamp. We want to put a small little village inside the swamp that is going to be a tribute to that time I got reincarnated as a slime, and the idea is it's going to be a village run by monsters, and they're going to just be wanting peace with everyone, and everyone's going to attack them because they're monsters. Throw a grenade. Ooh, which countermount? There we go. Those are some frozen water slimes. What about poison? Nice. It's funny because I'm definitely not walking around in the correct armor because I'm pretty sure my armor gives me negative range bonus, but I just wear it for the drip. Yeah, I've changed. I was actually put some boots on, but barefoot this whole time. So yeah, this is a bronze plate body, and then this is a copper chain body. Okay, wonderful wind slimes chilling on the mountains, ready to murder anyone who goes near. And now we can quickly pop up here and check out the fire slimes. I think the earth slimes behind Domini are going to take us longest to go look at. So we're going to go look at the lightning slimes quickly. But yeah, here's the fire slimes. They look plenty angry. I wouldn't want to come here either. Oh, my favorite thing. So every now and then the frogs congregate in the walls. Have they congregate? They haven't. Interesting. So once I had like a bunch of them go inside the walls, it was actually really great XP to blow them up. Look at all the frogs. It's an infestation. And maybe we can start seeing the lightning slimes. Yes, there we go. Fantastic. So yeah, lightning slime. Cool. Now we can go check if the earth slime's placed, and then I think that concludes our tour de Damascus and the gathering of the infinity slimes. Oh, for those who haven't seen it, the frog will slap. I should make the enemy move flip the sprites every frame if they're out of sync. But that's quality of life, small things. I also want to do the daily sprite artwork for today. I'm just thinking I'm thinking what to be inspired by. Like, do I want to do a creature? Do I want to do a humanoid? Do I want to do a demon? I think it might be a creature today. I've done quite a lot of humanoids and a few plant people, to be honest. Nice little fishing spot. Little a relaxing fishing spot, bridge connecting two biomes, aggressive lightning slimes. See, this is why they have to go, right? They're just too aggressive. They think they own the world, these lightning slimes. They really do. Look at that. Silly little lightning slime. Just couldn't live peacefully with me, just had to attack. Couldn't let me enjoy the river, couldn't let me enjoy the bridge. What a shame. So what we should see somewhere over here is the earth slimes that reside behind Dominia. Fantastic. Brilliant, quite a lot of them. Whole little colony. The lore behind this is that Dominia being quite a large city of in order for it to be constructed, and these earthworks led to the local slimes having a little bit of an elemental change. Is that a convenient bridge? Yes, it is. It's not too convenient. I suppose I'll just go this way around. And yeah, and this is Dominia. It is my favorite place in the game, because it is my namesake. My name is Dom. The city is called Dominia, you know. But also, I'm just a big fan of the walls. I do want to add multiple stories because then we can have some of these houses jutting out. So we can even have the possibility of having certain castles having kind of two-tiered walls, making them a little bit more imposing. And selling the law. And also, I just love the farms outside. So here's a little apple orchard. And obviously the towns and everything looks a little bit weird without all the doodads. We're still working on the doodads. That's gonna feel like, for example, this house will have tables and chairs and bookcases and feel like people live in it, um, rather than just being a kind of shell. But the shell was necessary for establishing kind of the main look and feel of the game and getting kind of the broader big picture feel right. But already here you can start seeing the market because we did add thieving, and you can actually see all of the thieving stalls, which I adore. And yeah, I have actually added I'm on 0 HP and I'm functionally immortal, so I haven't needed to heal. Um, you know how they say, once you're immortal, you kind of slowly lose a taste for food, because why even eat? But yeah, so that's kind of my plan. I think tasting food is going to be fun, but the next thing I wanted to work on is I wanted to do the daily sprite, because we have successfully added a bunch of enemies to the game, so that is always a win. It's just content. So we'll go to sprite mode here. Let's get a canvas set up. I don't know, so I have this shape in my head that I want to use. I don't know why. Uh, so I think that's where I'm going to start for my inspiration for this one. So we're going to do like, and yeah, I think it's something like this. So this shape is kind of my inspiration. And already I feel like these should be like, this feels like a snout or fangs or something, right? And maybe. I mean, that makes it look a little bit goofy. Maybe like a snake? Actually, just had an idea, so I don't know what that is. So I'll do slightly different color. Oops. So I want this kind of snaky body. I'll pick this into the air. This is actually inspired by a terrifying entity from Caves of Cud. That's giving me nightmares. Um, kind of want to, so I'm going to change the shape of this tail because I want to give him wings, and the wings have to clearly go here, so. So maybe we're doing something like this. Okay, don't want that tool. Maybe my only complaint with A Sprite is this interface just changes tools like it's going out of fashion. Cool. So one thing I want to do is I want to darken the wing. Alright, stripes to the tummy. And that does look sick. And then maybe a little bit like dark, like this color's on the inner wing. Kind of gives it a Batwing vibe. Hell yeah. And then like I do kind of want to lift them up a little bit. Fantastic. Okay. This is exactly what I wanted. Didn't know it was going to be a snake. Kind of just had that shape that I started with in my head, and I wanted to grow from there. To me, that was either going to be a panther or a helmet or something, and then just as I was doing it, I thought, you know, a snake could work. And then I kind of remembered the Dawn Gliders, and initially I chose yellow because I thought if it was a helmet it could be gold, and if it was like a panther it could be like a shadow panther that has a kind of gold plate, or an animal that's being cybernetically altered. But I'm rather happy with this little reference to the Dawn Gliders from Caves of Cud, and a kind of flying snake mutant creature. So let's save this up. Sky Snake. And we export it at regular size and put it in our project. Fantastic. And then we export them big for daily sprites. Yep. I hope not. I'm supposed to be on stream. Yeah, I think it did drop for a second there. Okay, crazy. Hit my bitrate as well. Why does that look stuck? Cool, anyway. I think this is a good time to take a short break. Got a good hour in, but rather pleased with